John Tavares is the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know him well. Good morning, John. Thanks for doing the show, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you, man. So you missed last year's camp, and you came back basically way faster than a lot of us had anticipated on the outside, and you put up points immediately. You actually ended up getting off to a pretty hot start. I wonder, outside of just feeling better, feeling healthier, what it feels like this year coming into camp healthy.
Yeah, it was a unique circumstance for me last year. And I think this is my 15th year, so 15th camp. So I guess, there's always something different and you're learning from, or something happens that takes you down a different path that you haven't been through before. So, last year, although wasn't ideal, I learned from it, and obviously I think a great job by all our staff in helping me get ready to play, and, obviously being ready, physically being ready to play, and then also my game being ready to play. So definitely took some learning from that. And, I was a little sick before camp started last year, and I think that didn't put me in a great spot. And then got hurt in that first preseason game. So, for me this year, it was kind of less is a little more in September, heading into camp and wanting to build towards October, which I think has gone pretty well. And, anytime you're just out there with the group, especially with all the new additions we have, new faces to build familiarity and comfort and chemistry and all those sorts of things is always obviously good. And then for myself to continue to just work on my game and round it out and feel really good about where I'm at heading into tomorrow now.
Well, your thing is consistency, and you have obviously been known as someone who works really hard throughout the off seasons. But yeah, when you're talking about rounding out your game, was there actually something particular that you really wanted to accomplish this offseason? Like something specifically that you were like, yeah, you know what, this is the area that I want to try to improve on despite being in year 15?
Yeah, I think there's always little things. I don't think, I'm looking to reinvent myself or reinvent my game. And it's something that I talk a lot about is continuing to be really good at my strengths. So I think continue to fine-tune your strengths and what makes you the type of player you are and have success, with obviously continuing to evolve at the same time. So it's always a balancing act, but I felt, and I think this goes to your first question with going through the injury last year and missing lots of camp, and starting the year, I felt really good, really fresh, and my game felt really good, even though I missed most of camp. Just taught me a lot about, I think the way I approach the offseason and the work that you put in, that even though you miss some time, because of all that work that's put in, there's a really good foundation and base there that you can really trust that and look to build towards October. So, I had a really good offseason last year with some of the things I made some changes with, and in particular, just working with Paul Matheson and our player development here with the Leafs, a lot of the skating stuff that he's been working on with me. So I think just to continue to build off that, and for me to kind of fine tune my strengths, and just little details in those areas that I want to be good at, whether that's on the walls, below the dots, and continuing, I think, always to connect my game through all three zones. I've really found all those pieces kind of fit together, and you want them all to kind of be in sync, and they all affect each other in a positive way, defensively and obviously through the neutral zone and offensive zone play. So it's a little broad, but mostly just kind of building on those things and little details within that framework of my game.
Yeah, well, I do like how the answer is like, listen, I'm trying to detail every single part of my game. I'm trying to add details to every single part. I'm like, all right, we get it. That's how you become who you are. So, you mentioned it, though. It's year 15, right? That's a long time in the league. And I'm curious if watching a guy like Minton come in, who's 19, same age you did, and granted, it was very different. You weren't like a surprise at a camp, right? You were a highly touted guy. You came with a lot of hype, anticipation. His has been a little bit more of like, holy crap, can you believe that this is happening? But I am curious if at like the start of the year, you get a little bit more reflective on your career. Like as you're getting ready for this and thinking, okay, how many more of these, do I have left? How long am I going to end up playing? And you see the difference between like you at 33 and a 19-year-old. Does it make you think about, yourself at 19 when you're first breaking in the league? Do you start to get a little sentimental about the game when you start to, see the younger guys come through like that?
I think it's just great perspective. I think every year, even though I've gained a lot of experience and I've been through it a lot, I think the feeling, other than not being through it the first time, my first year, I think the feeling is always very similar. It's just the excitement, the build up, all the work put in throughout the off season and training camp, preseason, and you're finally here for a new year and another opportunity to compete and play in the NHL is really special. So I think you're just really, you take some moments, almost look at the big picture a little bit as the long grind starts, and the fun and joy of that, competing at this level. So, and obviously, anytime you see, Fraser or Nyzie, any young player coming in and starting it for the first time, I think it does bring a little reflection back on those feelings of the unknown, I would say. Just going through everything for the first time is really, really cool. And to finally actually live it and experience it, you obviously hear so much about it, whether it's through, the staff or veteran players or even your agent and things like that of just what to expect and how it is. But I think just going through it for the first time is really cool. It's something you only get to do once, so just to try to cherish that and enjoy that, and obviously to lean on the people around you to help you through the ups and downs of a long year, and obviously to continue to grow and establish your game to prove that you belong.
When you were 19, though, okay, like you were from here. You had the microscope on you from, you being a kid. You had a pro athlete in the family. You had success immediately, like coming into the NHL. This kid's a little different in terms of, no one really expected him to be here at this point. He was a piano player, right? He became a hockey player. I don't think that he, maybe he understands some of the market pressures that are from here, but do you try to impart stuff on him? Like, do you take 19-year-old Tavares and you look at it and go, hey, how can I relate to a kid that, granted, it's a different era, but is there something, they always ask athletes to do the Players Tribune one where they go, hey, what would you tell your younger self? You kind of see a kid like that. Do you see yourself in him and go, you know what? Without trying to be overly preachy, because I am still this guy's peer, there probably are a couple things that I can tell you that would have helped me.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of nature versus nurture, right? I think he's going to learn things that, as much as I tell him or anyone else tells him, until you live certain things and you have your own experiences, it's hard to really comprehend all that. And that's what I mean a lot about the first and things that he goes through. But there's things that I remember that whether it was Doug Wade or Mark Streit or other veterans that I played with when I played, that little things here and there that go a long way, that help turn the light bulb on in certain areas, so to speak. Just bring your attention to that, because I also think when you're young, some things you're naive to, and I think that can work in your favor. And that's also where experience can go a long way. So I think there's two sides to look at it, and sometimes I think being young and naive and not going through it, haven't been through it before, and not really knowing what to expect, there's a lot of benefit to that. And then there's the other side of it where it's good to get a heads up on things and to be aware of certain things that you're going to face, and certainly playing in a market in a city like Toronto, what that's all about. But I think Fraser in particular has got a tremendous head on his shoulders. I think that's a big reason why I think Sheldon and Tree and all our staff obviously feel very strongly about him. Not only his game, but I think his character as a person, and how he carries himself, and I think his love and passion for the game of hockey, and also just the intelligence and maturity that he has for his age, and what it's like to play here and going through it for the first time.
Yeah. So it sounds, if I'm reading between the lines a little bit here, it's that you are more of a, hey, learn through failure and then I'll be there for you when the things are harder kind of guy.
I wouldn't say on everything, but I think in certain situations, definitely. So I know that's not a straightforward answer, but I think that's just that's part of in anything in life, just living through experience. And until you go through certain things, do you really truly understand? but I think there's always good things to be aware of before you head into them or you approach them for the first time. Having that knowledge can go a long way to help. So, that's just speaking from my own experience as well.
No, I think that's, I'll be honest, I think that's kind of an insightful way of doing it because, like I have a young staff here that works on this show, and it's a very similar thing. You want to have people feel like they're empowered to do their job. You definitely don't want to be preachy all the time going, this is how you should do something. This is how you should do something. Because it's like, yeah, what do you know? It's new. Things have changed since you were his age. The game's evolving. All these different things are, rapidly moving. But being there and having that experience to draw from when those things happen or when those things are needed, I think is pretty crucial, pretty important. So, again, you're part of this leadership core. You're a veteran. You're the captain. You mentioned it, right? Like all these new guys and being there for camp and being on the ice for all these new guys. But so much of this offseason was about like, hey, the new voices in the room and snot and whatever other adjective we used when we were talking about it and you guys used. What do you try to instill among new players as the captain of this team?
I think it's just to help the new guys, I think, feel comfortable right away. I think in their surroundings, coming to the city and obviously being at the facility, and I think just getting the feel for our group and kind of the vibe around our locker room, and also get a sense of the standards that we have, which we know are very high, and how we're always trying to push that envelope and how we go about our business and work and, push for what we're working towards. We have a very big goal in mind, and I think that's the focus of the group, especially the guys that have been here for a long time. And to obviously embrace what's really special about playing in Toronto and being a Maple Leaf and having that feeling and that sense. And I think our staff, the organization, is a big part of that as well. So I think that's all a part of it. So they can come in and be themselves and obviously do what they do well on the ice and feel that they can be a big part of things off the ice as well. We want a very tight-knit group and locker room, and especially with playing in Toronto and just the attention that we get and start to feel comfortable just with everything that is on your plate as a player in this city and to enjoy it because it's a special place to play.
How do you balance that, like the weight of the expectation with just like, hey, we're at the very beginning of a regular season?
Oh, I think that's just things we try to just focus on a daily basis. There's a lot that's outside of our control that we can worry about or that we can influence. All we can do is just focus on getting better every day, which is very cliche, but that's all that we can do in the moment is get ready today for our game tomorrow and to be excited about that and look forward to that challenge. As I think, being a team that's in our position that wants to contend, obviously has very high goals. We know the long journey and that takes to get there to earn your spot for that opportunity. That's something that's extremely hard to do and difficult to do in our league. So, it's one step at a time. So, first it's the preparation in the off season for training camp and preseason, and we finished that step 2 here this past weekend, and step 3 is a long one, and that's the long grind and journey of a regular season to earn your spot for the best time of year where we have a desire to get to the mountaintop.
This is a bit of a different one because, obviously I don't think you guys are like, oh, we really just wanted to get out of the first round. The goal is to win the Stanley Cup that you're talking about. But does the group feel at all different? Like, has this felt a little different going into the season, knowing at least that part of it is gone?
I think for sure there's, obviously I think it was, we've been so close with so many opportunities. Obviously I think it was a big moment for us to put Tampa away and something that we hadn't been able to do and had so many cracks at. So obviously it was big for the group, but certainly there was significant disappointment in how things ended against Florida. But I think we feel that it was a great learning experience, and just how as you go further, how much harder it gets and how the margins get even smaller. We talked about how small the margins are, and we've obviously really felt that with the amount of game sevens that we've been in, being one shot away, and opportunities we've been in where we haven't, we didn't get it done, and as we moved on last year, just felt with how the series was against Florida, how tight every game was, how close we were in all those games, just how much tighter and how much smaller the margins get, and how your game has to evolve and adapt even throughout the playoffs. You have an identity that we want to play to, but also to understand the opponent you're playing against and how your game has to evolve and adapt, with still establishing the way that you want to play to obviously meet that next challenge against a team that's feeling very good about themselves as well and just accomplish getting past the first round too. And that'll only get harder as you get to round 3 and then obviously to the Stanley Cup final. So it was a good learning experience. But obviously to move on was something that we want to do every year, but certainly those opportunities that slipped away in the past, it was good for us to get that feeling and understand what that takes.
Hey man, well, congrats on the health. I hope it continues for this full season, and yeah, good luck with the grind.
Thank you.
I appreciate the time today, John.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Take care, man. There he goes, John Tavares, captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs.